And welcome back. We're picking up where we left off picked up last time in Songs of Six in version 71, sort of our human tyrant run. Just got the bakery going, so we've got reliable food sources. But I want to continue expanding grain farming, especially because close to the river here we've got plenty of moisture. And I probably want to get some ranching going. So let's activate the little bit of road that I've already sort of set up here as a exclusion zone. And another little bit of road into the field here, just sort of the county lane. Get another grain farm queued up. We got a little bit of native forage there, which I'm going to leave, unless I forget about it. Yeah, max length dimensions hit. That's probably about right. We'll leave that like that. There's another 10 grain farmers as that builds out. On the right side of the road here, I'm going to put in some auroch pasture. Moisture isn't as good. We may at some point want to get pumps set up to irrigate deeper in, but I think that'll work for the moment. And then the warehouse over here. To upgrade it, I need wood and furniture. We're not stockpiling enough furniture right now. We may want to stockpile more of it. Add another tack of furniture here so we stockpile a little bit more. And I'm going to add in leather and clothes. And honestly, just more wood, more stone. This early building. Anyway, I'm going to adjust the furniture trade so we have a much higher limit. Let the export over like 50% storage. Yeah. That way, instead of building a new warehouse, I can upgrade the grain warehouse we already have, so I can store a little bit more per crate. So right now, the default crate is, I think, 80 stored per crate. Upgrading it adds another 220 per crate, bringing it to 300. Adds a furniture and extra wood upkeep to it. You're making furniture, so that's not a concern. So I'll turn the game speed down here, and we'll look at the tech stuff now that I've brought it up at the end of the last stream, or the last recording. So in the new version 71, in addition to innovation and knowledge, which we had before, administration has been changed to be sort of a new tech type. By default, it's mostly the Empire stuff. So Empire is in green, so it's administration, so this is all the Empire stuff. It's all admin. And law and order. You'll see all law and order, except for the guards and the embassies are admin. I think that's it for admin techs. Yeah, that looks like it's it for admin techs. In addition to that, Another thing that's been changed a lot is a lot of things that were knowledge either don't exist anymore. Well, for all the resource production text you'll see in here, you'll see there's no knowledge. They're all innovation. So boosting RGO gathering, so farming, ranching, mining, all of that is now just simplified into innovation. And I think they like halved the costs as well. So it's a lot more rewarding from an innovation standpoint. Refining, again, had knowledge removed from everything, so it's all innovation, except for things that reduce consumption, which got moved to, well, is brand new and is now on knowledge. So, for example, if we were to go very heavy into baking, and we wanted to do wood oven excellence to reduce the input, that would be knowledge. Although that requires you to go all the way down to advanced bakery. So you've got to pick all that up before you need any knowledge. So, resource production mostly, unless you're trying to minimize inputs, is knowledge, or is innovation now. Knowledge is just the resource production inputs. And then it's all the service bonuses. In fact, it's more specifically all the service bonuses. Previously, a lot of the service bonuses, the low-tier stuff was still innovation. Like, I think Bloodsport was still innovation. It's now knowledge. It's all knowledge, you can see here. This is all knowledge. Now, obviously, you need knowledge, or to get knowledge, you can't use knowledge. So libraries are now under, well, libraries were always under innovation. The first tier of it was. But that's the only thing on this page that is innovation. And then most of military is knowledge, except for soldiering archery prowess, which is effectively the same tech, just archery range versus training ground, and the archery range are the only things that are innovation. So I've got 25 innovation right now. Questions, what do I want to spend that on? I think we're going to hoard it for the moment and spend it on the library. And then after that, it's mostly going to get spent on unlocking stuff. Improvised weapons. Potentially weapons. And or maybe picking up... Oh, you're 30. Maybe picking up the War Beast pastures if I want War Beasts for war. Anyway, see, the bread is stockpiling. I'm not making fruit and veg anymore, so let's pop that out of the production line. Add that to bread, so we can store more bread. And we had just our first crime. Someone criticized us. I think we can make do with the criticism for the moment. Our warehouse here for grain is full. And I don't quite have enough furniture to get it leveled up. Put more storage in it. Although that is something we want to do relatively quickly. Yeah, we got a sleepy little town here. Food stockpile days is going up. Although I don't necessarily want to stockpile a lot of bread. Bread doesn't keep very well. If I want food stockpile days, it probably wants to be of rations. Rations keep a lot better. You can see in warehouses, 2.5% versus 37.5% for meat, 50% for bread. And of course, the army eats rations. Okay, we got another furniture. Upgrade you. Next tier we'll need pottery and cut stone. Which is one reason I wanted some access to clay, because that can be a pretty good export in the form of pottery. Service-wise, there is one service building I'm missing, which is the laboratory out of the initial batch. That makes sense until you have clothing. Or it could still make sense to have clothing. I suppose I could build transit as well. So let's get ourselves a small laboratory. Turn the speed down a little bit for that. Okay, don't necessarily need the service need yet, but better to build it before you need it than not have it and want it. Oh, and I'm currently out of money because we're not exporting enough furniture to... At least, the only thing we're buying right now is grain. Actually, someone's surprised I haven't finished the grain farm up yet. And then religion-wise... I suppose if we're going evil, we probably want... Shamlor. Going evil, a tyrant. So the... Shamlor is the raid security. Oh, I got offense added to it as well. Births on you. You're mostly industry. Mission, health, and lifespan. Okay, so they buffed damagism a little bit. Although, suppose from a sacrifice bonus, the Krat heroism is pretty useful. Mostly bonus to farmers, which I don't want to be doing in the long run. Could do Arthurianism again. Did it in the Nodorian run. We'd probably want Sithlin ore for that. Well, that wouldn't be too hard. Apparently we got a pretty surprisingly large deposits of Sithlin. You know, we'll do Arthuri for the moment. So. Get a second food stall. I suppose I can make it a little wider. Let's build another one instead of just copy and paste the existing one. There we go, getting the grain farm, third grain farm up. It's 10 more farmers. So, if our productivity stays the same, that's another 50 more grain. So that's like another 8 bakers support. Yep, just about to get the Archon pasture up. Yearly report. Trade is net negative, so we're out of money. Although bread is net in fact, we're in theory making more bread than we've got storage capacity for it. Fish is net positive. Could probably actually shut the fish industry down at this point. Take our people back from there. Yeah, let's actually set the fishery down for the moment. Yeah, let's full on delete it. And then we'll put that towards more bread storage. So in theory, I've now got leather coming in, although at this point it's going to be glacial, because the cows aren't of age. How's my housing looking? We're at 12. I've got 37 odd jobbers. Okay. So, part of the whole tyranny shindig is... Oh, I'm not there yet. But it's gonna have guards running around to do law enforcement. So I need to get up to Prontex, at the training ground, and effectively the stockade, which is the first person. So I need to get up to 200 people. That also gives us enough innovation that I can pick up both the library for innovation and guardhouse. I could start grabbing the guardhouse now and setting a couple of those up. One of those up. Oh, interesting how that's changed. So that's a guard post. Oh. And then we've got guard station, which is the square. Okay. So do I want it directional? Or do I want it omnidirectional? The default radius on this is pretty small. This is just wood for the moment, so we can set a couple of these up. And I can double check how they... because these have been changed. They're not the same as they were in the previous version. So we'll see how much they've changed. And I suppose I can keep, or should keep, the grain farms expanding. Let's get another one going. You got full moisture, you got full moisture. Thinking that's a place where I might want to try to put a pump in. Hypothetically. Okay, so we've got some guard posts. Although right now no one goes to the guard posts, because we've got no guards. So how they change guards. And yeah, they do still basically upgrade like they did. Although they don't have a armor upkeep when they upgrade it, it's just cut stone. And then the old city garrison is now the guard forts. Okay. And when a division of your guard is on active duty, they go act as guards. Okay. Instills order and law. Helps protect against crime. Okay. Anyway, for the moment, 250s is not terrible. That's basically what we're going to do. Obviously, we probably want to give them armor and weapons before we send them on the map, but that's what we're looking at. Okay. One, two, three, four. Get another block of housing. Well, actually, no. I've got everyone... Thought my house is full. Okay. Yep, that farm did come online. To see. Yeah, for the moment at least, I got plenty of warehouse. Or plenty of wood. Actually, don't have enough warehouse space. So that's what I was about to say, and realized, wait, no, that's wrong. I'm getting my thoughts crossed. We need more grain, but we're also coming up on harvest season. Harvest season's a day out. Okay. Hopefully we'll store more in the warehouse this time, because it's been upgraded. 5.5k. Might need to splurge and get another expanded warehouse more. Let's see how the harvest comes in. Yeah, I think I slowly want to swap the hunters over to leather. Although for the moment they're useful sources of meat. Although we're making enough bread that I probably don't need to be making the meat here. But yeah, swap these over eventually to leather. And I think we're trying to make our clothes out of... clothes and armor out of leather. Yeah, so there's the grain fields harvested, so we're now just waiting for the warehouses to harvest it. So in theory we generated 2,000 yield. And then I can math that out. So 2,000 being consumed a little bit better than 6 per worker is about 333 bakery days. So I'm slightly over employing the bakery because I suppose I only have 15 harvest days, or 15 workers worth of grain or whatever coming in. So Yeah, probably overemploying the place. Although the most recent field wasn't full efficacy yet. And then I suppose here we're waiting for you to get to adulthood. 0 of 10. You're fully adult. Yeah, base meat and antelopes are the best for husbandry for meat. Is 1 per worker. I was actually saying 1.12 there per worker. That then gets multiplied by capacity. So I've got 3 workers assigned here, but we have 2.1 workers worth of pigs, basically. They'll feed themselves, but they're not making... Well, they'll feed themselves and about 3 other people. It's such a large antelope pasture. So we'd like that to be better, but it's not great. And then this is probably just going to feed the farmers on the pasture, but it's giving us leather, which we're going to use to make clothing. I suppose I can get a predictor on how much leather we're going to make. So it makes 0.56 per person on average on the weather. Okay. My generator does reach all the way down to the water pump. That's good to see. Yeah, it's roughly around. It might be being stretched a little bit due to the road efficacy, but that is telling us that at some point I will need another janitor relatively soon. Keep expanding like I am. And yeah, from a food stays perspective, I should start building up a ration maker. And or bring more people in, one of the two. Because right now our 150 people are eating 75 bread per day. And we're making 135. So 60 bread per day is becoming surplus and being stockpiled until the decay equals the generation rate. We're not quite there yet, but... Well, first of all, the warehouse isn't that big, so at some point that's going to get kicked into... Well, it's not being stored in the warehouse, and we get the double decay rate on that. And then ration maker we needed furniture for, right? Yeah, it's implying that we need it for that building. Speed down a little lower. And then it was 25 tall if I want it to be the same sort of dimensions as you. And your workbench. Okay. So that would be 90. That gives a pretty comparable size with you. Although I need space for the warehouse. Do I make it narrower? And run less sub-buildings. Oh, that's not going to work as is. Okay. That makes sense. That's why my maths are not mathing. Wait, it feels wrong. Okay. Let's clear out a bunch of these. Try that again. Okay, that's only 72. That won't be as much. That probably still works out reasonably well. Okay, so there's no yellow tiles at that point. Yeah, so that gets 100%. And then I can do a big storage. Like so. And again, this is a building I'm going to have to turn down because it's an oversized building. For what we really need. In fact, we did the math that we've got about 60 surplus, so I'm going to want like 10 people working here. Do in here is I'm a little tempted to put a warehouse. The space between the two. Okay, because of its weird shape, that's not a very optimal warehouse. But you know, definitely be worse. Definitely be worse. And this is mostly going to use to storage bread and rations, so we can take it out of the generic warehouse I've got in the center there. Yeah, I could probably let another 50 people in. Maybe not make enough grain to support that is the concern. Yeah, probably not make enough grain to support that as is. Although, or maybe am because we're gonna have a new grain farm, but How far east does the rich soil go? All the way out to there, okay. Let's get another grain farm in. Another 18, 19-ish jobs. Up off the corner here. It's on the alluvium. Just below 18. Doesn't assign a 19th person. There we go. And yeah, then the third, well, besides weapon making, the third industry we need before we can start getting our army together to go on campaign, go be a real tyrant, is clothing. Okay, so this warehouse is in. Your job is mostly to store rations. Also going to use it as sort of the buffer for bread. I'll upgrade it with furniture. So with that, I probably don't need you to hold bread anymore. Yeah, because it stores 1,800 bread and 4.5 thousand rations. Which, for a city of this size, is enough to have many, many food days. Okay, got all that grain field cleared. Now that's got to bring the grain in, which we have at the moment, although that means we're going to probably have the bakery shut down, which isn't super great. This is why we need harvest. Next harvest is in 2.8 days. So this one won't be ready for the next harvest, but it'll be ready for the next one. Oh, yeah, 202 furniture. That's going to take a while to generate. You old adults yet? Yes. That's making 4.5 leather per day. Another 18 farmers there. It's good to see. And we're 1 day out harvest. So they're not going to get much planting in that field then. Everything's there except for the finisher, which was still producing. Estimate of 3.2 this year. Now employ over 50 in the grain farms. So we now get a experience bonus, although it's pretty small at this point. Here comes harvest day. And you can see the tiny little piles of grain they're leaving behind in that one, because there's not much work done in that field before harvest day. It'll be better for next year. Yeah, we got... Theory got 3.3k. Which, divided by 6 per worker over 16 days, it's about 34, 35 acres, before accounting for spoilage. So in theory, I should actually have some surplus grain this year. That's not going to get eaten completely by the bakery. Although I suppose that's maybe an argument. Let's bring the bakery up to 30. A few more workers on that task. And then 30 workers should be enough to make 180 food, which is enough for 360. So, yeah, I think we're at the time we're going to let some more people come in. I'm going to splurge. I'm going to go up to 200. Or, well, set it to go to 200. Getting there is going to take a little bit of time. And that's in migration. Technically, we've got it set up so they're allowed to have... Can I set this up when we're not having... Subjects are allowed to breed at their own pace. They are. Get 2 fulfillment, which we've set up for. So we're just not getting any fulfillment yet. That's what's happening here. Our average reproduction rate... Yeah, in theory I'm telling it can have up to 10 children. And we still have no children for a reason. I'll set this... It'd be a bit extreme, but you can have up to 100 children in this town if you somehow do it. Whereas I'm reading this wrong, and I'm supposed to set this to what I want it limited to. Ah, I'm supposed to set it to what I want it limited to. Okay. So I should try to make these two numbers the same for the moment. Or actually, I suppose I've got space for 250 people, so we'll set this to 250. There we go. Now we're getting some children. Oh, that's the bonus for not telling them they have to breed faster. Okay. Or this is the bonus for they're allowed to breed. Again, this is the first run on this patch, so I do not have everything memorized. And I think next year we'll get even more grain coming in. In fact, we're predicted to be up to 5k. It's maybe an argument that we're coming up on the point where I need to build another warehouse for grain. There we go. So we hit 200. So that means we've got the innovation, for 10 innovation, 35 knowledge. The ability to build training grounds to start training people to join the army. And enough innovation that I'm going to pick up a library here. Well, you know what? Something I haven't set up? I got no places to bury people. Let's get proper burial. And get a mass grave set up somewhere. I didn't need proper burial for the mass grave, but I will need it for the graveyard, which is the other thing I'm going to build. Yeah, that'll be a nice small graveyard back there. We haven't had anyone die, so it hasn't been a problem that we have no place to bury people yet. Okay, I'm starting to run out of rich land down here. We're swapping over to till going forward. That might be all the grain I want to run in that area for the moment. That's till. Okay, so that's rich up there. That's a big patch of rich up there. So I want to build a neighborhood up here for just farming all the rich at some point. Build it up on the till. Gonna ignore the ore deposit and the stone deposit maybe not. The ore I'm going to try to ignore. Okay, waiting for that furniture. Do I do a bigger carpenter? I'm going to resist the urge to do a bigger carpenter. Instead, I'm going to get some clothes going. So, tailor turns 4 leather into 3 clothing. So I literally have enough leather production to provide 1 job of tailing. Or 2 of making armor. Although I definitely need the clothing, because the army's going to want clothing. The army is going to want clothing. Although, I suppose I am making plenty of food, right? Food. We got 24 food day storage. Our 200 people consume 100 food, as you can see. We're making 200 food. We're making 180 bread. So yeah, I don't need the meat anymore. So I can swap the hunters over to their hide recipes. I'll reduce our food production. Try us with more leather, though. There we go. So now I've got enough leather production that I can actually support some clothier, some actual number of clothiers. So like 5 clothiers, or 5 tailors making clothing, and we'll do like, what, another Another 5 on armor. So, based on those tiny little numbers, you can probably guess it's going to be a fairly small building. So that's actually one worker too many. Oh, and that requires furniture too, so I'm gonna need more furniture. Maybe I shouldn't hold off on getting more furniture. Give me a second one of those as well. And then we're gonna want training grounds. Start training people. Although that's also furniture. Oh, I might have already prepared some. Let's clear some rock. Harvest is 7.2 days out. I think I want to take you off of grain. Maybe I should make enough grain that I don't need to import grain anymore. Why do I have so much knowledge? Well, I spent... Oh, it's 35 knowledge. So yeah, I've still got a bunch of knowledge kicking around because I spent it on just on proper burial. So I've got another 25 kicking around. Definitely not ready for the toilets. Could pick up stages. Those are going to require pottery. Tastes and markets are going to require pottery. Or I suppose the thing I should really save it for is pushing down into medicine physician. Keep the health high. Yeah, probably medicine for physician. If we're gonna make a dash in the tech. Okay, first tailor setup. We do want the first on clothing. So, 15 clothing. I actually forget how much clothing, how quickly people go through clothing. Wear out rate is order per year. So 200 people only consume 50 clothing over a whole year. So yeah, we're arguably massively over providing clothing if the goal was just to clothe everyone. Well, that's probably a good thing. Let's get one of the other services that I haven't set up prior, which is the market. The market distributes clothing and furniture. And until now, I had the willingness to supply neither, so that's why we didn't have any markets. And I've got a housing for 250, so I could let another 50 people in. Still waiting on the furniture for the ration maker. Oh, we got the second tailor done. So we can swap you to the armor. So the guards will be able to actually be armored in something when we finally start training them. Oh, I'll need more leather for shields at some point. I do probably want to go with makeshift spears, or early spears. Because presumably stone is cheaper than metal to import. 85 versus 496, yeah. Oh, the market's apparently cost furniture. I really don't... I'm not planning on using that fabric anytime soon, so let's actually trade the fabric away. And in exchange... Can I get some furniture? Go. Again, that'll help with this being constructed a little bit faster. Stockpile of 300. That actually should probably be fine for the current... Hypothetical guard. Right, I'm planning on going up to 200 so we can take over the neighboring region. Let's talk about a little bit more clothes. And then I'm going to get another export depot. This is going to export excess clothes. Oh, markets. Markets don't carry livestock. In fact, basically don't carry anything that isn't clothing. At the moment. Put a little back. Okay. And then you are going to be exporting clothing. But a fairly high percentage. If we find ourselves that our city is crumbling to dust, we can move to a different part of the 6 and start over. I don't feel like I need that yet. Game. Usually I start a full brand new city instead, but... Set it at that limit. Clothing. Going to be a problem before we start exporting clothing, to be fair. And yeah, our people should be getting happier because they're receiving clothing. Some of your goods are stored excessively. Yeah, that's called lumber. We're getting that from Chopping Forest Town guy. Oh, and bread. Got too much bread. The answer to the bread problem is get the ration maker going. We're almost there. 202. Or 176 out of 202. Okay, we got the grain harvest coming in. the harvest was supposedly 4.2. It was 4.3k. So about 70 man days. No, about 700 man days. So about 43 bakers. So let's go up to 10 bakers. And just encourage more population at this point. Coming by migration. Oh, do I have 14 children? Is what that's showing me. Yeah, we got 14 children. Okay, so that's why I only went up to 206 adults. Because that's 220 minus 14 children. Give me another 10 adults, please. Okay, all the furniture is in. I'm gonna have to turn this down pretty rapidly. Just put the speed on low for the moment. So you are producing... Well, in fact, we'll take the number that it should be. It should be about 240 in grain. Or 240 bread. So that's enough to feed 480. We obviously don't have 480. Although, that's kind of the direction we're trying to go. I'm trying to go to like 400. So I'm going to conquer some territory. So in the 200 to leave for the war. It's only taking half the town, hopefully. So if I'm getting 240, and I want 200 basically to feed people. So we want enough ration makers that the remaining 40 gets consumed, let's say. Currently the recipe is 6 to 2, which is pretty bad ratio. Because seeing as 2 rations still feeds the same number of people as 2 bread. On the other hand, it keeps really, really well, and by default they don't eat the rations. So we want like 6 workers on here. And then besides that, we want to keep growing the city. So we'll get another housing block in. So we can have, in theory, another 250 people in. So that's my next useful patch of rain. Some wild mushrooms over there as well. Have any used in crates? I do. And create a mushrooms here. The humans like the mushrooms. Even though we're not particularly great at farming them. Being an indoor crop. Late summer one that's eligible for harvest. So I should start on grain farming over here. The moisture is going to be a bit low. So this is a location where we'll want to brag some irrigation into. Here we go. Another 18 farmer jobs won't be bad. And this is over the other side, so we'll want to build another warehouse over here for grain handling. Oop, I'm seeing I'm going over time again. This is probably a reasonable place to put a bar break in. We're going to start trying to get the training ground built in the next one. We got the ration maker going. We got clothes going. We got armor going. We probably want to get some weapons going before we go to war. Otherwise, our poor humans are going to be punching things to death, which is not an effective way to win. Although we've got some basic armor coming in, and once we got enough furniture coming in, we can build the training ground and start getting humans training. Both to carry out tyranny and to support the war effort. Now, on the war effort, I would like to invade these guys. Take these guys over, because then that allows me to take over the territory behind them. Although, I suppose I should not get too far ahead of myself. We do need to get to the Pontic's Ray for nobilities. So we want to have enough troops trained that we think we can win that war when we hit 650 guys. So it'll be about a third of the town that we want prepared for war. I want basically two units of 100, so I can do a hammer anvil style attack. We'll go with spears and leather armor. Maybe by then we'll have sorted out enough to do shields as well. But yeah, so that's what we're going to be continuing on in the next one. If you're watching on YouTube, that will be tomorrow's part. If you're watching on Twitch, feel free to hang around. I'm going to take a short break here so I can go... Well, it's time. It's the midstream tea break. Or go make a cup of tea. We'll be back as soon as the cup of tea is brewed. So until the next part, I'm going to wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part and or stream. And bye for now.